disorders of the skeleton system. So we have studied the whole skeleton system in detail. This is the last section of this chapter, that is locomotion and movement. Let's start with the first disorder, that is called as arthritis. Okay, the arthritis is the inflammation of joints. Okay, inflammation, that is जो सूजन होती है, जो joints की जो सूजन होती है, which causes swelling, pain, and also sometimes it causes loss of action of those parts. That is basically called as the arthritis. Arthritis again is divided into different. There are different types of arthritis. One is called as a rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune disorder is a disorder where the body's own cells are attacked by the antibodies or the body's immune system cells. Okay, so that is called as an autoimmune disorder, that is rheumatoid arthritis. Then there is osteoarthritis, then there is infectious arthritis, and then there is the gout arthritis. Let's start with the first point, that is the rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis, okay, is an autoimmune disorder. It is caused because of the autoimmune reaction. What happens in the rheumatoid arthritis is that there is a factor that is called as a rheumatoid factor, which is similar to that of antibody M, that is the immunoglobulin M. Now, this because of this rheumatoid factor, what happens with the synovial membrane? We all know that there are these two bones. Okay, if these are the two bones, these two bones are protected by the ligaments, and they have a membrane. Okay, that is called as the synovial membrane. This part is the synovial membrane. Here the synovial membrane is going to get inflamed. Okay, and when the synovial membrane starts inflaming, what happens is that the synovial membrane, it produces or it secretes a synovial fluid. Synovial fluid is present in between these two bones, which is protecting the friction of these two bones. So what happens when this synovial membrane is inflamed? This synovial membrane starts producing or secreting more and more, or you can say abnormal high amounts of the synovial fluid. Also, along with the synovial fluid, it starts the production of some granules, which are called as the abnormal granules, which are normally called as the pannus. Okay, these pannus or the granules which are produced, what happens is that this synovial membrane, or this is the synovial membrane, and this part is the cartilaginous membrane of the bone. These pannus or granules, they go and they start accumulating on the membrane of the bones. जो आर्टिकुलेटिंग मेम्ब्रेन्स होते हैं, इन मेम्ब्रेन्स के ऊपर वो पैनस के ग्रैन्यूल जाके accumulate हो जाते हैं, जिसकी वजह से because of this there occurs erosion of the cartilaginous membrane or the articular membrane, or you can also say it as the articular cartilaginous membrane. So when the erosion happens, okay, what is going to happen? When the erosion happens, this is basically a bad thing that is happening over here. The bones are going to collide, or they are going to have friction on one another, which is going to cause a lot of swelling, a lot of pain and everything. So this is the rheumatoid arthritis. Those people who have rheumatoid arthritis, they are solicited or they are prescribed by the doctors to take the heat treatment or physiotherapy, or sometimes a joint replacement is also done. That is, a surgical joint replacement is done. So this is the rheumatoid arthritis. The next one is the osteoarthritis. Now what happens in the osteoarthritis? What happens in the osteoarthritis? The same thing happens, but here osteoarthritis is not an autoimmune reaction. Okay, here in osteoarthritis, the cartilaginous membrane, okay, that is going to erode, and this erodes because of the synovial fluid and because of the abnormal concentration of the synovial fluid. This membrane, it erodes, and this is going to cause the pain and swelling of the joints. That is in case of the osteoarthritis. In females, the bones of the hands or the fingers, and the bones of palm, and the bones of hands, and the bones of legs are found to be inflamed. In case of males in osteoarthritis, the hip bones are seen to be inflamed. The hip bones are seen to be inflamed. That is in case of the osteoarthritis. Infectious arthritis. In infectious arthritis, whenever the pathogens like viruses or bacteria, they enter inside our bloodstream, and when they go and get settled into the different joints, in those joints these bacteria and virus are going to cause inflammation, that is called as the infectious arthritis. The last one is the gout arthritis. What happens in the gout arthritis? Gout arthritis is a defect of metabolism of purines. Okay, प्यूरिन का मेटाबॉलिज्म ठीक से नहीं होता है, and when the purine metabolism doesn't take place properly, this purine starts getting accumulated in the form of uric acid, okay, and sodium urates, or which are also called as the urate salts, which is basically the sodium urate, and these salts start accumulating in between the joints and causes inflammation of the joints. Okay, so and these urate salts are also present in the form of crystals. The urate salts, when they start accumulating in the kidneys, they form the kidney stones. So there are also many medicines in the market which the doctors prescribe, by which these urate crystals can be excreted outside the body, by which the gout arthritis can be overcome. So this is about the gout arthritis. So in arthritis we studied about the rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, infectious arthritis and the gout arthritis. Okay, gout arthritis is a metabolism defect, purine का metabolism नहीं होता है. Infectious is because of virus and the bacteria. Osteoarthritis is because the articular cartilages, they get eroded and the inflammation of the joint takes place. In male and in females, what happens we have seen. And then there is a rheumatoid arthritis, which is basically a autoimmune disorder. The next disorder is osteoporosis. Okay, osteoporosis, when there is lack of minerals and lack of fibers in the matrix of the bone, at that time the osteoporosis is going to occur. In osteoporosis, the bones become weak and the person starts getting fractured. Okay, even though he has not had any accident or he did not fall anywhere else, so at that time his bones, they start getting fractured. That happens in osteoporosis. Those individuals who are under the treatment, where in the treatment cortisone are given, okay, those people, they also show the indication of losing the bone, and when there is loss of bone, obviously osteoporosis is going to happen. Osteoporosis also takes place when there is abnormal, or you can say hormonal imbalance in the body. When the sex hormones are imbalanced inside the body, or when the hormones like the thyroid hormone by the thyroid gland, or parathormone by the parathyroid gland, when these hormones balance is disturbed inside the body, at that time also osteoporosis occurs. Osteoporosis also occurs because of lack of calcium in the blood, and also because of the lack of vitamin D deficiency. So these are all the reasons which causes osteoporosis. The next one is rickets, or it is also called as the osteomalacia. In the children, okay, what happens in that? In the childhood, when there is lack of calcium, vitamin D, and sometimes genetical disorders also causes the rickets or osteomalacia. Next one is dislocation. Now what is dislocation? There is a joint, okay, and this joint, because in a joint there are two bones which are connected together by the help of ligaments, okay, and we also saw what is synovial joint, what is the articular membrane and everything. So in the dislocation, when the two articular bones, okay, are separated from one another, that is called as dislocation. And because of the dislocation, there is pain, okay, in that joint, there is swelling in the joint, and also sometimes there is complete loss of motion of that joint. So that is dislocation. The next one is sprain and strain. We normally use these two words, that is sprain or strain. Okay, so basically what is sprain? Sprain is the dislocation of the two articular bones, but they are not completely dislocated from one another. Okay, That is, there is a twisting of the two bones. There is twisting of the two bones, but they are not completely dislocated from each other. And when the twisting occurs, when the stretching occurs in between these two bones which are forming a joint, the ligament is damaged, okay, which is surrounding these two bones, the tendons are damaged, the blood vessels are damaged, and the neurons are damaged. So when someone is suffering through the sprain, and when that sprain has to be healed, okay, during the healing process, that person or that patient is prescribed that he should not move that joint, okay, or that organ in which the joint has undergone the sprain. So there should be complete immobilization of those organs under the case when that person is suffering through the sprain. Now what is strain? Okay, strain is not that serious. Sprain is a bit serious, but in strain there is also twisting and stretching of the muscles and the joint, but here there is also pain and inflammation, but this can be easily recovered, and there is no such thing to be told over here to follow immobilization of those organs. So that is a strain. Next is the disorder that is called as bursitis. Okay, bursitis, there are these small sac-like structures we have studied which are called as a bursae. Okay, if you remember, in this bursae the synovial fluid is present. So when there is inflammation of this bursae in the synovial joint, that condition is called as bursitis. Okay, next one is Paget's disease. What happens in the Paget's disease? In Paget's disease, if there is a bone, okay, if this is a bone, there are some cells in the body which are called as the osteoclast. This osteoclast, when there is low level of calcium and phosphorus in the body fluid or in the blood, this osteoclast, they start attacking the bone cells, and the bone and the calcium and the phosphorus is reabsorbed from the bones. That process is called as a resorption, and this resorption is carried out by the cells which are called as the osteoclast cells. So this is called as a Paget's disease. What happens in Paget's disease and what is seen is that the bone has become very, very soft, and at irregular intervals the bone is thick. Okay, so that is seen in the Paget's disease. Next one is muscular dystrophy. Now, the muscular dystrophy is a genetic disorder. Okay, in muscular dystrophy, there is a mutated gene that is present on the short arm of the X chromosome. Okay, so this mutated gene, okay, when there is a normal gene, a protein is produced. The name of the protein is dystrophin protein. When a normal gene is present, so that normal gene produces a protein that is called as dystrophin. Dystrophin is very much necessary for the maintenance of the plasma membrane, which is also called as the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber or the skeletal muscles. This dystrophin is responsible for this maintenance of the membrane, as well as the release of calcium from the skeletal muscles. But when there is a mutated gene, we know that when there is a mutation in a gene, the gene fails to produce the protein. Here, so the dystrophin would not be produced, the membrane stability will not be maintained, and the calcium will not be released out of the skeletal muscle fibers. So what happens inside the skeletal muscle fibers is that the level of calcium goes on increasing. So when the level of calcium increases inside the skeletal muscle fibers, the skeletal muscle fiber releases an enzyme, and this enzyme, what they do is that they start damaging the actin and the myosin filaments. Actin and myosin filaments, we all know in the skeletal muscle fibers, there are dark bands and then there are the light bands. Dark bands are made up of myosin, light bands are made up of the actin proteins. So they are responsible for the contraction and relaxation of the muscle fibers. So when actin and myosin are completely damaged because of that enzyme, the contraction and relaxation won't take place, and the muscle starts undergoing weakness, fatigue, and finally in muscular dystrophy till the age of 12, okay, till the age of 12 years, that individual's girdles, that is the pelvic girdle and pectoral girdle muscles, they get completely wasted, and also that person starts undergoing cardiomyopathy, mental retardation, and finally heart failure and respiration failure takes place, and the person dies till the age of 20. So that is the muscular dystrophy, which is caused because of a mutated gene. That mutated gene could not produce the protein, that is a dystrophin protein. Nextly is myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is also a autoimmune disorder. In myasthenia gravis, what is affected is a neuromuscular junction. We all know that a neuron is in contact with the surface of the muscle by the contact is called as the muscle plate. Okay, so here the neuromuscular junction fails, and because of which the muscle undergoes contraction, or it is called as a wide contraction, because of which the muscle fails, and the disorder is called as a myasthenia gravis. Next one is tetany. What happens in tetany is when inside the body fluid the calcium level, okay, it reduces. At that time, wide contractions of the muscles, they take place. This condition is called as tetany, or the disorder is called as the tetany. It can overcome by increasing the calcium